Hello friends, welcome to Affairs Cloud Learn to Lead. This is Ashu and today we will discuss very important current affairs of 5th of August 2021. You can see two best images of the day, but today we will discuss very important and the most important current affairs. So watch this video till last. But I am requesting you all the students to download our application. Application name is Careers Cloud and you can download from the description box link. After downloading, you can log in with your email ID and after that you can click on this crack current affair sections for 1 year current affair as well as for 2 year subscription of the current affairs. Both the subscription prices are very much low, but if you see the price, you will definitely surprise, and we are providing 90 to 95% of that current affair which can come in your exam and very important for every type of exam. And guys, how we are covering this current affair? We are providing you daily section. In the daily section, you will receive three things. One is the detail, question and answer format, and third is the quiz section which you can attempt on our application on daily basis. Next is the weekly. Again, you will receive three things. One is the detailed current affair, question and answer format, and the quiz section which you can attempt on our application on weekly basis. Next, the most important section is the monthly, and we are providing four type of PDFs. One is the detailed current affair, question and answer format, best 100 current affair, that is also provided in the form of question and answer, and the pocket PDF, which means the 2-liner and the 3-liner current affair will be provided to you so that you can revise the current affairs in the quick format before your exam. But to enhance your performance, we are also providing topic wise current affair. We are covering 20 most important topics which are very important for every type of exam. It means if you want to cover one topic related news just from single PDF, you can use these topic wise current affairs. And if you're a banking aspirant, then we are providing three things. One is the detail, second is the question and answer format of current affairs only related to banking and economy, and third is the section is quiz, and this is also related to banking and economy, and this you can attempt on our application on monthly basis. And guys, if you want to cover all the past current affair of 2021, then you can use this exam PDF. This is single PDF and you can revise all the past current affair. We are also providing detailed budget and economic survey. We are also providing expected question and answer related to budget and economic survey which examiner can ask from this section. And guys, if you are preparing for your respective state exam, especially the state PSC, then we are also covering state current affair, and specialty is we are covering every state and union territory. So guys, there is no different subscription for these topics. We are providing all these things under one subscription. And guys, we are providing all these things under just one subscription. You have to download our application Careers Cloud and you have to log in with your email ID and you have to click on this crack current affairs section to subscribe our current affairs for 1 year as well as for 2 year. But guys, if you're a beginner, then I am recommending you that you have to subscribe for the 2 years. But the price is very much low. There is no much difference like between the 1 year subscription as well as 2 year subscription. But on that minimal price, we are providing 10% extra discount if you use this code ASH10. If you have any query, you can email us on this email ID or you can contact us on this number. So let's start today's current affair, that is 5th of August 2021. But you have to like this video, share this video and subscribe this channel to support us and to motivate us. And guys, please join our Telegram group from the description box link. And let's start today's section with the most important question section, and here is the question. Which metro will be the India's first lightest metro train as it is being manufactured with aluminium? So it is the first time that aluminium will be used and it will become the India's first lightest metro train. And this metro train will be built by one of the West Bengal related company known as Titagarh. So guys, remember, Titagarh Wagons Limited will manufacture this metro, and name of this metro is Pune Metro. So guys, remember, Pune Metro will be the first, India's first lightest metro train as it is being manufactured with the aluminium. And you can see here, it will be the India's lightest and Pune's first metro, and it is a train set unveiled in Italy. Why it is in Italy? Because you can say it is a subsidiary in Italy and it is related to Titagarh Wagons. And guys, you can see here, Pune Metro will be manufactured by Titagarh Firema Spa plant because it is a subsidiary of Titagarh Wagons which is situated in West Bengal. And the first train is scheduled to be arrive in Pune in September 2021 because this company was awarded a contract for design, manufacture and supply of 34 train of 3 coaches each. It means total you can multiply out, you can say 34 into 3 and it will become almost 102 coaches. So you can also remember, and all the 34 trains are scheduled by March 2024. And guys, you can also remember it will be India's first lightest metro set to as it is being manufactured with aluminum for the first time in our country. And this ultra modern metro coaches get a highest safety standards, low carbon emission and better fuel efficiency. So these are the characteristics of this Pune metro. So you have to just remember the question. And guys, you can also remember one very important thing under this question, that is first goods train on Haldibadi, which is situated in West Bengal. Second is Chilahati, which is situated in Bangladesh. Rail link flagged off after 1965, because the rail link between India and Bangladesh, at the time it was East Pakistan, was operational till 1965. After that it was suspended, but now it again started between the West Bengal and Bangladesh. Exact places Haldibadi and Chilahati. And the first goods train on Haldibadi to Chilahati rail link was flagged off carrying construction material like stone chips after 1965. And it is the fifth rail link between India and Bangladesh, which has been operational since December 2020, following inauguration by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. It will definitely encourage the economic and social development of the region like India and Bangladesh, or you can say exactly Haldibadi and the Chilahati of the region, along with growth of the regional trade. So this is very important between India and Bangladesh. And guys, remember about Indian Railway. It was established in 1853, the first railway which was established by Lord Dalhousie. At that time he was you can say Governor General of India. And the CEO of railway currently is Suneet Sharma. You have to remember the name, this is important. Headquarter is in New Delhi. Now we are moving to the next question. So remember these things, these are very, very important. Moving to next, who was appointed as the new managing director of Life Insurance Corporation of India? Total managing directors are 4. So one of the managing director retired, so that's why a new managing director was appointed. So guys, you have to remember the name is Mini Eep or Mini Ipe. So you have to just remember the name Mini Eep or Mini Ipe. You can see here the picture of Mini Ipe, and she takes charge as a LIC managing director. And she has taken charge as the MD of LIC of India, succeeding Vipin Anand. You can see it means she took place and she replaced the former managing director Vipin Anand. At present, including Mini IPE, LIC has 4 managing directors, and like one is the Mini IPE, second is Mukesh Kumar Gupta, and next is Raj Kumar, and most important is Siddharth Mohanty. These are the other 3 managing directors of LIC. And guys, you can also remember about LIC. LIC chairman is MR Kumar, but chairman post will be converted into the managing director and CEO of LIC. And LIC IPO will be, you can say, phased out in the phased manner, and it will be released soon according to the sources of the finance ministry. And guys, LIC, you can say, capital was also changed to 25,000 crore. Authorization capital now changed to 25,000 crore. You have to remember these things. And also the retirement age also changed to 62 years. So you have to remember these things because we covered these things in the very important section. And guys, remember other appointments. These are again very, very important. Like you can see here, Satish Agnihotri. This is important appointment. MD of Managing Director of National High Speed Rail Corporation. So he was recently appointed as Managing Director of National High Speed Rail Corporation. He was appointed in July. MR Kumar, you know, he is currently the chairman, and Vipin Nand was the former Managing Director of LIC. So now we are moving to next question. Who was honored with the Canada's highest prestigious order of the British Columbia Award? Again, it is very important. And guys, this award goes to Ajay Dilavri. So answer of this question is C. So Ajay Dilavri, the Indian origin entrepreneur, was honored with the Canada's highest prestigious order of the British Columbia Award. You have to remember, it is one of the highest prestigious order of the British Columbia Award, and it goes to Ajay Dilavri. And you can also see here, Indian origin entrepreneur Vijay Dilavri, honored with the Order of the British Columbia in Canada. And Dilavri Group, the largest automotive group in Canada, was founded by Ajay along with his brothers like Cab Dilavri and Tony Dilavri. And the Dilavri Foundation has contributed to the Canadian society so much, like they donated tens of millions of dollars to help charitable causes in healthcare, mental health, autism, education, and the public safety. And guys, you can also remember about this award, that is Order of British Columbia Award. It recognizes the persons with the greatest distinction and excelled in any field of endeavor benefiting the people of British Columbia and beyond. So guys, you have to just remember it is one of the highest award of the British Columbia in Canada. But another awards are again very important. You can see here R.K. Sabharwal. He recently received Order of Polar Sun. So remember, Order of Polar, not Sun, it is Polar Star. So remember this, Order of Polar Star. It is the highest civilian award of Mongolia. So you can remember. P. Sainath, he recently won Japan's Fukuoka Prize. Japan's Fukuoka Prize 2021. Shyamla Ganesh recently won Order of Rising Sun. Order of Rising Sun, and belongs to Japanese government. It means this award belongs to Japanese government. So remember these things because these are the highest, one of the highest orders of the different governments, like Order of Polar Sun, Mongolia, Fukuoka Prize belongs to Japan, and Order of Rising Sun also belongs to Japan. Moving to next question. Who was awarded with the Professor C.R. Rao Centenary Gold Medal Award? So guys, remember this. And you can also remember that C.R. Rao is an Indian American mathematician and statistician, and he received Padam Vibhushan in 2001. So that's why this award was named with the C.R. Rao Centenary Gold Medal Award. He is basically 100 years old. That's why this is known as Centenary Gold Medal Award. And this award goes to one of the very famous economist, Jagdish Bhagwati, and second famous economist is C. Rangarajan. So answer of this question is both A and B. D is right answer. You can see here both the pictures, like Jagdish Bhagwati ji, you can see here, and C. Rangarajan you can also see here, conferred with the inaugural Professor C.R. Rao Centenary Gold Medal. This is the first time that this award was started. And guys, the award presented once in 2 years by the Indian Econometry Society, which is known as TIES, to the Indian or the Indian origin scholar for their lifetime contribution to the field of theoretical and applied aspects of quantitative economics and official statistics. So you have to remember this is just for the well-being in the economics field. This is very important. And the award consists of a gold medal and citation. And guys, you can remember this person, Jagdish Bhagwati. He is the former chairman of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. And even you can also remember he is currently working in the University Professor of the Economics Law and the International Relation at the Columbia University. He was awarded as a Padam Vibhushan in year 2000, exact 2000. Even C. Rangarajan was also served as the former chairman of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister and the former governor of the Reserve Bank of India. And many students know the Rangarajan committees. These are very famous. And C.R. Rao, you all know that Indian American mathematician and statistician, and he received Padam Vibhushan in year of 2001. And guys, you can also remember another very important economist, that is Amartya Sen. And he recently won Spain's Top Princess of Asturias Award. So you have to remember Asturias or Asturias Award. So you can remember it is Spain's Top Princess of Asturias Award in the social science category. The Spanish Prize Foundation gave this award to Amartya Sen, and a very famous Nobel Prize winner in the economics from Indian side. So you have to remember about Amartya Sen. Now we are moving to next question. What was the name of the first modern woman poet of the Dogri language? If I am talking about Dogri language, it means I am talking about Jammu and Kashmir, and Padam Shri awardee who recently passed away, and she won the Padam Shri award. She was the first modern woman poet of the Dogri language, and answer of this question is Padma Sachdev. So you have to remember the answer is D. So you can see here Padma Shri awardee, eminent Dogri poet Padam Sachdev passed away. It means she belongs to which state? She belongs to Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. She also received the Sahitya Academy Award in 1971 for her anthology of poems like Meri Kavita Mere Geet. Meri Kavita Mere Geet. In English, you can say that my poems, my songs. So this is the Hindi version, like Meri Kavita Mere Geet. And she played a vital role in including Dogri language to the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution, because Dogri is now a scheduled language and it was added with the other 3 languages, like you can say Bodo, Maithili and Santhali or the Santhali. So these are the 4 languages which was added you can say by the 92nd amendment of 2003. So these are the 4 languages added. So Dogri, in the Dogri language, and she you can say played a vital role in including this language to the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. And she has authored many books in the Dogri language as well as in Hindi language. And guys, remember, 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution deals with the languages recognized by the Indian Constitution, and present there are 22 languages which are under the 8th schedule, including these 4 languages. And she also received the Padam Shri in the year of 2001, but you don't have to remember, you have to just remember the name. Name is very important, Padma Sachdev. But guys, other obituaries are again very, very important. You can see here, first name is Kanupriya, and she was a very famous Doordarshan channel anchor, you can say. Nirmal Kaur, very important obituary, you have to remember, former Indian volleyball captain, and she was also the wife of late Milkha Singh. Next is Parul Dabi Das, and she was the Assam's first female IAS officer. First female IAS officer of Assam. So these are important obituaries you have to remember, especially Parul Dabidas, the Assamese students, you have to remember this thing. This is most important for you. Moving to next section, it is our very important question section, guys. You have to like this video, share this video as maximum as possible, and you have to subscribe this channel if you are new on this platform. And guys, remember, join our Telegram group from the description box link, and here is the question. Arvind Kejriwal ji, it means the Chief Minister of Delhi, launched which initiative to make Delhi as a global city by the year of 2047? So very simple question, and you can remember as from the options like Delhi at the rate 2047. So answer of this question is D. It means the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal ji launched this Delhi at the rate 2047 initiative to facilitate partnership with the private sector, CSR initiatives, or you can say corporate social responsibility initiatives, and philanthropic organization to make Delhi as a global city by the year of 2047. And you can see here very little smile on the face, like Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal ji launched this initiative to make Delhi as a global city by the year of 2047. And guys, remember, the vision document has set to an aim to take Delhi per capita income to the Singapore's level. So it is the aim. It means Delhi has to increase the per capita income by 16 times. 16 times, because Singapore, you can say per capita income is 16 times more than the Delhi. And it also stated that the Delhi will bid to host the 2048 Olympics. This is very important. This is enthusiastic goal. And under this initiative, Delhi at the rate 2047 platform will be created, which will be hosted by Dialogue and Development Commission, the policy think tank of the Delhi government. And under this platform, ideas will be sought from various organizations working in the different fields and expertise to transform Delhi into the livable city. And Delhi at the rate 2047 initiative will begin by focusing on the 3 projects. These 3 projects will be, one is the Khelo Delhi, and the main aim is to build world-class playgrounds in the government schools. This is Khelo Delhi initiative. Next is City of Lakes, 1,000 water bodies. 1,000 water bodies will be rejuvenated, and bridging the digital divide in schools. These are the 3 main projects under this Delhi 2000 at the rate 2047. So guys, remember about Delhi. Delhi's Lieutenant Governor or the Lieutenant Governor is Anil Baijal. You have to remember Anil Baijal. And wildlife sanctuary, very famous, is Asol Bhatti. You can remember Asola Bhatti, or the name is Asol Bhatti Wildlife Sanctuary in Delhi. So remember these things. Now we are moving to next question. Which company conferred with the Global Peacock National Training Award for 2021 in the pharmaceutical category? Again, you have to just remember the question as in slide. You have to just remember the name of the organization, and this organization won this Golden Peacock National Training Award for 2021, but in the category of pharmaceutical. And answer of this question is Sai Life Sciences. So remember, Sai Life Sciences, and bags the Golden Peacock National Training Award for 2021. And it is one of the India's fastest growing contract research development and manufacturing organization. And guys, this is the second consecutive Golden Peacock Award for this company, following the Golden Peacock National Quality Award this organization won in 2020, but it was in the category of the quality, and now it is in the category of the pharmaceutical. The company has provided training over 100 unique roles across the organization, covering quality, technical, safety, soft skills, and more. And over the past 3 years, the company has invested almost $100 million to expand and upgrade its research and development, manufacturing facilities, and also raise the bar for safety, quality, and the customer focuses. And guys, you can remember, if you want that Golden Peacock Award, these are the annual awards for the corporate excellence in India, organized under the aegis of the Institute of Directors, India. So it is given to the best corporates in the different categories. But in the pharmaceutical category, it was won by Thais Life Sciences. Now we are moving to next question. Recently, which education financing platform has received a non-banking financial corporation license from the RBI? So this question is again very important, because it is a education financial platform and it received a license which is given by RBI, and this license related to non-banking financial company license. And this education financing platform is Gyan platform. So remember, answer is C. So Gyan is India's first education financing platform, has received non-banking financial company license from the Reserve Bank of India. And this company aimed to disburse almost 650 crore in the financial year of 22. Already they disbursed 200 crore. It means only 450 left according to the target. And you can see here, it plans to disburse 650 crore worth of education loans in the financial year of 22. Already they covered 200 crore. And guys, remember, out of 650 worth of education loan in financial year 22, 50 crore for the domestic, 50 crore for the domestic short-term courses offered by the various edutech players or the coaching institutions. So this is very important. And guys, you can also remember what is NBFC. It is a company registered under the Companies Act of 1956, engaged in the business of loans and advances, acquisition of shares, stocks, bonds, debentures, securities issued by the government or the local authority or the other marketable securities. And guys, remember this section, as per the section of 45IA of the RBI Act, and NBFC need to get a registration service certificate or license from the Reserve Bank of India to carry its businesses, and it should have a minimum net owned funds of rupees 2 crore. So if you want any NBFC license, then you have to register under the section 45 of the RBI Act, and you need a permission or license from the RBI, and you should have a minimum net owned fund of rupees almost 2 crore rupees. So you have to remember, and this organization is Gyan, and it is India's first education financing platform. Now we are moving to next question. Which company became the first life insurance company in India to provide a UPI autopay facility to its customer? So currently autopay system is now trending, so that's why UPI autopay is basically started by National Payment Corporation of India in 2020. Now many companies are basically using, like yesterday we covered a question about PhonePe also using this feature, but now we are talking about one of the life insurance company, and this life insurance company is ICICI Prudential Life Insurance Company. So answer of this question is C. So ICICI Prudential Insurance Company ties up with the National Payment Corporation of India system, which is UPI Autopay or Unified Payment Interface Autopay, to enhance customer convenience. So you can see here, it is integrated with NPCI UPI Autopay platform, and it will enable the customers to make instant automated recurring premium payments of insurance policies. So while purchasing the insurance policy, the customers could link their bank account with the UPI Autopay and activate the e-mandate like recurring payments through their mobile phone. And the customer could also enable the UPI Autopay feature on the UPI applications, like you can say PhonePe, Google Pay, and so many applications which are using UPI system. And guys, remember about ICICI Prudential here. This was established in year of 2001, and it is promoted by ICICI Bank and Prudential Corporation Holdings Limited. And its headquarters is in Mumbai, and its MD and CEO is NS Kannan, but it is not important. You can remember if you want, otherwise it is not important. Moving to next question. A book titled "And in an Ideal World," authored by whom? Again, very famous author, and answer of this question is very simple. You have to just remember "in an ideal world," which is you can say, I am not saying that it is not possible, but it is kind of impossible. It is an ideal world. So ideal world cannot be created, but it is just a hypothetical story, and this is written by Kunal Basu. So answer of this question is A. I am not talking about Anurag Basu. You can confuse with the name of Anurag Basu. So remember, it is Kunal Basu. You can see here the picture. Novelist Kunal Basu, "In an Ideal World," to come out in 2022. This book will be released in 2022. And guys, remember, this novel features a story that explore a range of themes such as family, college, politics, and you can say fantasism. and the story is based on the mysterious disappearance of a Liberal Party member of a college in Manhar and the attempt of the suspect parents to uncover the mystery and absolve their son. So it is just a hypothetical story. But you can also remember the other options like Ronnie Screwvala, very famous, you can say, producer and the director, and he wrote one book that is Kill It, Kill It. So this is written by Ronnie Screwvala. Kajal Suri recently wrote a book, Habba Khatun. So you can also remember Habba Khatun. Vipin Gupta recently wrote 4 books related to consciousness, like what is consciousness, what is para-consciousness. So these books are written by Dr. Vipin Gupta. So remember these books. Now we are moving to next question. So we already covered this, and Kunal is a bilingual author. You have to remember English and Bengali like Bankim Chandra Chatterjee or Chattopadhyay. So you can remember we covered this point. Asian Development Bank has sanctioned loans worth rupees, you can say 112 million USD to which state? So this is very important, and it is to finance urban water supply infrastructure projects. So we are talking about which state, and answer of this question is, guys, Jharkhand. So C is the answer. It means Asian Development Bank has sanctioned loan worth rupees 112 million to finance urban water supply infrastructure projects in the Jharkhand. And guys, this is the Asian Development Bank first urban sector project in the state of Jharkhand, and in Indian rupees it is a huge amount, like 831 crore rupees, and it is not a, you can say, grant, it is a loan. It means it will be repaid, and it is just to finance urban water supply infrastructure projects in the 4 towns of the Jharkhand. These 4 towns are like, if you belongs to Jharkhand, you have to remember, one is the Ranchi, second is you can say Husainabad, next is Jumri Talaiya, and next is Medini Nagar. So you have to remember if you belongs to Jharkhand, otherwise you don't have to remember. The total cost of the project is 160 million USD. So guys, remember, out of the 160 million USD, 48 million USD will be funded by the state government of Jharkhand, and this 112 million USD will be provided by ADB. So 48 million will be provided by you can say government of Jharkhand, and the project will establish 940 kilometers of the water distribution network to provide continuous water supply to about 1 lakh 15,000 households, and it will support the Jharkhand Vision and Action Plan of 2021 to improve the quality of life of its urban residents through better quality urban infrastructure. The project is expected to be completed in the year of 2028. So it is a long vision of the Jharkhand government. And guys, remember about the Jharkhand. Jharkhand Chief Minister is Hemant Soren. So I think all the students know this. Governor is Ramesh Bayas. You can remember Ramesh Bayas. And national park, very important national park is Betla National Park is here. And so much wildlife sanctuaries are very famous, like you can say Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary, Gautam Buddha Wildlife Sanctuary, Hajari Bagh Wildlife Sanctuary. So these are very, very important. And guys, remember about Asian Development Bank. It was established in 1966. Its headquarters is in Manila, Philippines. Total member countries are 68, including India. And the president is Mast Sugu. So you can remember these things. These are very, very important. Now we are moving to next question. The 13th summit of the heads of the state and government of Community of Portuguese speaking countries, which are known as CPLP 2021, was held in which country? So this is a new kind of forum. You have to remember the forum name is Community of Portuguese speaking countries, and its 2021 meeting was held in which country? And from Indian side it is attended by Meenakshi Lekhi. You have to remember Meenakshi Lekhi. This question is very important, and she is working currently under the Ministry of External Affairs and also Ministry of Culture, and she is currently the Minister of State in both the ministries. And this was happened in Angola, guys. Remember, answer of this question is A. And you can see here the picture of Meenakshi Lekhi. She is currently the Minister of State of External Affairs as well as in the culture. And India joined the Community of Portuguese language country as the associate observer in the July this year. So this is a new kind of forum, you have to remember. And this is Angola, guys. You can see this is in the Western Africa area, or you can say the Southwestern African area. And the capital is Luanda. So exact place where it happened. And India and the 9 countries were approved to join this organization, which is known as Community of Portuguese Speaking Countries, CPLP, as the associate observer. And the guys, other 9 countries are like Canada, Greece, India are also there, Ireland, Peru, Qatar, Romania, Spain, and the United States of America. And this CPLP is also known as the Lusophone countries, which means Portuguese speaking countries. So remember, Lusophone countries means Portuguese speaking countries. And joining the community will help India to strengthen its ties with the Portuguese speaking world, and it is a multilateral forum created to deepen cultural, economic, and the political cooperation among the Lusophone nations of the world, or Portuguese nation of the world. And guys, remember, CPLP, it is an international organization made up of the 9 countries and 32 associate observers, including India. And its headquarters is in Lisbon. Its headquarters is in Lisbon, which is in Portugal. So guys, remember, very important organization, new organization I am talking about. So you have to remember this. Now we are moving to next question. Which company has signed a MOU with Rack Bank Data Centers to power India's first hyperscale data center with 100% renewable energy? And this renewable energy will be provided by one of these company, and name of this company is ReNew Power. So answer of this question is D. So you have to remember ReNew Power. So you can see here, ReNew Power signs pact with the Rack Bank power its data center with 100% renewable energy, country's first hyperscale data center. It means data center will be provided by Rack Bank, and the renewable energy to this data center will be provided by ReNew Power. So this is very simple. So you can see here, the MOU allows ReNew to build, own, and operate a hybrid power generation facility of up to 500 megawatt to supply power to the Rack Bank data center. It means data center belongs to Rack Bank Authority, and the supply, the renewable energy will be provided by ReNew Energy. And Rack Bank would purchase green power generated from the hybrid power generation facility directly from the ReNew and through the open access mechanism. So it is also said to be India's first green data center, because 100% renewable energy will be supplied by the ReNew Energy. And the MOU is one of the India's largest open access MOU. And the MOU also provides for equalizing the non-renewable power consumed by the Rack Bank's data center by purchasing green credits from the ReNew Power. And guys, remember about Rack Bank. Rack Bank provides data center services like dedicated servers, managed servers, and the co-location services. So you have to just remember the MOU, and what is the purpose of this MOU I already covered in the simple language. And ReNew Power's headquarters is in Gurugram. And this Rack Bank, you don't have to remember, it is in Madhya Pradesh. Moving to next question. Which bank signed MOU with the Andhra Pradesh to finance Fish Andhra scheme? Again, very important, because we are talking about one very important bank, and the finances will be provided by this bank, and it is for the scheme Fish Andhra scheme. And guys, answer of this question is Bank of Baroda. So D is the answer. So you can see here, it is to assist and finance the entire 14,000 beneficiaries for setting up of aqua units under the Andhra Pradesh government's Fish Andhra scheme. So Andhra Pradesh stands first in the country in the fishery sector, both in terms of the production as well as you can say the total value of the aqua. But in spite of having high production, the per capita consumption of the fish product is very much low in Andhra Pradesh. So in order to address this, Andhra Pradesh government has designed a novel scheme which is called Fish Andhra. So you have to just remember the name of the scheme. And the scheme is in line with the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, a scheme of the central government. And guys, remember, each aqua hub contains 140 beneficiaries. Each aqua hub contains 140 beneficiaries, and the project cost is almost 5.50 crore, which will be financed by Bank of Baroda. And total 100 aqua hubs would be set up and around 14,000 outlets, because one aqua hub contains 140 beneficiaries. It means 100 aqua hub will contain 14,000 beneficiaries, and they will be provided with 14,000 outlets of different sizes and nature would be set up across Andhra Pradesh, so that maximum to maximum employment also can be generated. And the funding platform of the aqua hub is 15% beneficiary contribution. It means who want to open these type of the you can say aqua hubs, and 15% will be provided by this person, 40% by the state government, and 45% money will be provided by the bank loan. It means 85% money will be provided by the government as well as the bank. So you have to remember this. This is again very, very important. And guys, you can also remember about Bank of Baroda. Bank of Baroda was you can say established with the merger of the Vijay Bank and Dena Bank, or you can say Vijay Bank and the Dena Bank was merged in the Bank of Baroda recently. You can also remember. MD and CEO is Sanjeev Chadda, very important. And headquarters is in Vadodara, Gujarat. Examiner will not ask this. And this was established in 1908. 1908. One time the question was asked that Bank of Baroda was established by whom? So you have to remember it is established by Sayaji Rao Gaikwad III of the Baroda. Sayaji, I am just writing here, Sayaji Rao Gaikwad III of the Baroda. And the tagline is India's International Bank. So you have to remember these keywords. Now we are moving to next question, and it is from picture. And question is, tabletop war gaming exercise held fine-tuned model of the integrated theater command. So guys, it was held to you can say fine-tune the model of integrated tri-service theater command. It means it was held in between the three armed services like Indian Army, Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy. It also included a frank and the freewheeling exchange to evolve best practices in the theaterization. And during the exercise, scenarios like facing a two-front war from China and Pakistan were war gamed. So you have to just remember it is a tabletop exercise. It is also known as TT exercise, and it was held between Indian Army, Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy to strengthen all the three armed forces. Now we are moving to the next section. It is our important question section, guys. You have to like this video, share this video and subscribe this channel if you are new on this platform, and please join our Telegram group from the description box link. Nanobiotechnology Research Center, which is also known as NBRC, has signed a MOU with which institute for research consultancy and knowledge transfer? So this question is not so much important, but you have to remember this Nanobiotechnology Research Center is the research and development unit of the IFFCO. It means I am talking about very important organization, Indian Farmers Fertilizers Cooperative Limited. And this organization has signed a memorandum of understanding with IIT Delhi. So answer of this question is A, IIT Delhi, for the research consultancy, you can say knowledge transfer and the collaborative projects. So you can see here, basically IFFCO ties up with the IIT Delhi and signs pact for the joint research in the area of agriculture, fertilizers, including nanotechnology. And it will focus on the joint research by sharing laboratories of IIT Delhi and IFFCO and providing research consultancy. So the main MOU, the main focus of this MOU is on the research and technology. And guys, remember the engineers and the scientists of the IFFCO will work with the research faculty and the scholars of the IIT Delhi to address the agricultural and environmental problems and create innovative solution. And the collaboration will enable advanced research in the areas of nanotechnology for the futuristic applications. And guys, you can also remember that recently this organization has developed the world's first nano urea liquid at Kalol in the Gandhinagar, Gujarat. This is very, very important. And this organization also transferred this technology to the Rashtriya Farmers Organizations and as well as the National Fertilizers Limited. And IFFCO is one of the India's biggest cooperative society, fully owned by the Indian cooperatives. And the 500 ml of this nano urea, which was recently discovered by this IFFCO, is supposed to replace 1 bag of conventional urea. So this is very, very important, and it is by IFFCO. So remember this. Now we are moving to the next and you can say the last question from the picture. Securities and Exchange Board of India allows payment banks to act as investment banker. This is just information for you. It is not a question. That Securities and Exchange Board of India allowed payment banks to carry out the activities of investment banker in order to ease the access for investors to participate in the public and rights issues by using various payment avenues. Also, the non-scheduled banks which have prior approval from the Reserve Bank of India will be eligible to act as bankers to an issue with regard to the conditions stipulated in the rules. So you have to just remember the payment banks as well as the non-scheduled payments banks are now can act as a investment bankers. So this is very important. And guys, remember about SEBI. SEBI was established in 1988, but it becomes statutory body in 1992. Ajay Tyagi is currently the head, and the headquarters is in Mumbai, Maharashtra. Now we are moving to the one-liner important point, and here is the first point. National Bone and Joint Day 2021 celebrated on the 4th of August. So you can see the picture here, a National Bone and Joint Day, 4th of August, and the theme is Save Self and Save One. You can remember the theme, and it is just to a reminder to you can say re-examine and recognize the contribution of the orthopedics to achieve improved bone health. And in 2012, Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has decided to observe 4th of August every year as the National Bones and the Joint Day to focus on the issue related to bones and joints. So it means the first time it was celebrated on 4th of August 2012. So the theme is Save Self and Save One. You can remember the theme, this can be asked. Next, centenarian sprinter Man Kaur, miracle from Chandigarh, passed away. You have to remember she was more than 100 years old, and that's why the word is used, centenarian. And guys, you can also remember sprinter and the World Master Games medalist Man Kaur. You have to remember the name Man Kaur, who is referred to as the miracle from Chandigarh, has passed away in Patiala, Punjab state. And guys, remember why this lady is known as miracle from Chandigarh, because she belongs to Punjab, Patiala, and started her athletic career at the age of 93. So this is very, you can say, miracle thing. So that's why she is known as miracle from Chandigarh. And she has won gold at various Masters Athletic Championship, including, you can say, 2012 Asian Championship, 2013 Canadian Championship, 2016 American Championship. And she won 4 gold medal in 2019 World Master Athletic Championship, which was held in Poland. So she won 4 gold medals, and she became the world's fastest centenarian at 2016 American Masters Games held in Vancouver, this 2016. So you have to remember the name is Man Kaur. So very important, guys. Now we are moving to the next point. Pakistan, Rizwan breaks world's record for the most runs scored in the T20 in a year. So we are talking about the year of 2021. So Pakistan wicketkeeper batsman Mohammad Rizwan has set a new world record for the most runs scored in a calendar year of the T20 international cricket, and he has scored like 752 runs in 2021, and it was in total 14 innings and 15 matches. So you have to remember 752 runs. Earlier this record was with the Ireland player. The name of the player was Paul Stirling, and she scored aggregated 748 runs in 20 innings and 20 matches. So but this player from the Pakistan scored 752. So wicketkeeper batsman Mohammad Rizwan. Now next is RBI issued framework for the PSO's outsourcing of payment and settlement activities. Not so much important, again information for you, that Reserve Bank of India issued the framework to the non-bank payment system operator, non-bank payment system operators, outsourcing of the payment and settlement related activities, including onboarding customer IT based services to service provider. So not important. Center government to set up Garima Grahes for transgender person. You have to just remember these houses or these shelters are known as Garima Grahe. And during a discussion in the Parliament, Minister of State for Social Justice and Empowerment, A. Narayanaswamy, stated that government is planning to set up Garima Grahes for transgender person with the help of community-based organizations. And Garima Grahes will provide safe and secure shelter to the transgender homes. And 12 pilot shelter homes have been already initiated. So 12 already started. Next, National Statistical Office PLFS survey, unemployment rate rose by 13.3% in Q2 of the financial year 21. So this is just a survey earlier. If we are comparing with the Q2 of the financial year 20, then it was 8.4%. So it is raised almost by 4 to 5%. You can say now it is 13.3%. So you can also remember it is periodic labor force survey. We already covered. It is the 8th periodic labor force survey, and it is for the Q2. It means we are talking about July to September. Now we are moving to the next question. It is the question of the day, that is the 4th of August 2021, and guys, it is most important question. When was the decimalization of the coinage done in India? So guys, it is very important and lot of information you can take from this question. Like decimalization is the conversion of the system of currency or the weights or the measures to units related to the power of 10. And most countries have decimalized their currency, converting them from non-decimal subunits to the decimal system. And with one basic currency unit and the subunits that are to be power of 10, most commonly you can say 100 or exceptionally like 1000. Only 2 countries have non-decimal countries. You can see here, this map is related to Africa, and only 2 countries till the date have non-decimal currencies. Like one is the Mauritania, you can see here Mauritania, and next is Madagascar. These countries, these only 2 countries have non-decimal currency, you have to remember. And the first country First country is Russia, who was the you can say first country to convert into a decimal currency when it was decimalized in 1704. So Russia was the first country who decimalized. And guys, you can remember about India. India became independent on the 15th of August 1947 and was left with the legacy of the non-decimal coinage. And 1 rupee was divided into 16 annas, and 1 anna further divided into the 4 pies. So you have to remember 16 annas means 64 pies. So it means 1 rupee you can either say that it contains 16 annas, or you can either say 64 pies. And in 1957, India shifted to the decimal system. So answer of this question is A. And but for a short period, both decimal and the non-decimal coins were in circulation. Therefore, pre-decimal coins of 1, half or quarter rupees could remain in the circulation after decimalization. And guys, remember, the rupee remained unchanged in the value and the nomenclature. It, however, was now divided into 100 paisa. 1 rupee divided into 100 paisa instead of 16 anna, or you can say the 64 pies. And for public recognition, the new decimal paisa was termed Naya Paisa, or the new paisa, till 1st of June 1964, and when the term Naya was dropped. So in 1964, the new or the Naya Paisa or Naya word is dropped, only Paisa word is started. So guys, remember, it is 1957 when decimalization of Indian coin was done. So now we are moving to the question of the day. And here is the question: what do we call the money that is lent for more than 1 day but less than 15 days and in the call money market? So if we are talking about the call money market, if the money is lent for 1 day but less than 15 days, what it is called? So you have to remember this question, because this is again very simple question, because there are 2 or 3 terms which are related to call money market. You have to recall this and you have to answer me in very simple language in the comment box. I am waiting your answer. Please like this video, please share this video as maximum as possible, and please subscribe this channel if you are new on this platform. And guys, please join our Telegram group for the description box, and it is for official notifications. And guys, it is Affairs Cloud promise that it will boost your confidence in the general awareness section. And don't take life so much serious. Life is simple. And please keep smiling like this smiley. And if you are smiling, it means you are happy, and happiness is the key of success. Thank you guys. Take care and bye-bye.